What's up? Hold up, let me get my music right. Alright, Heat. I don't really like when phones start acting stupid when you're trying to do something. Alright, there we go. What's up, everybody? Um, I was just thinking about postpartum depression, and I was thinking about it because I had a memory of when Mike's son's mother, she was going through her little changes or whatever, and it began, in the early stages of her pregnancy. She lost a lot of weight. She went through a lot of hormonal changes. She was sick a lot, very ill, and it was my first time dealing with a pregnant woman. You know what I mean? So I didn't understand it. Like, she just told me to stay away from her mostly, so that's what I did. I stayed away. She would call me every once in a while and be like, "Bring me food," and I would take her some food. She would take the food and be like, "Get away from me." But yeah, at the beginning stages of her pregnancy, she was very ill and very hormonal, and like I was saying, I didn't understand it because it was my first time dealing with a pregnant woman. I wasn't given any kind of like real warning, not a technical one, not by a physician or a psychologist or, she was so, hormonal. She didn't even allow me to go to doctor's visits with her. Like, I didn't even know who her doctor was until like 2 weeks before she gave birth or whatever. That being said, she was receiving medical attention for the pregnancy, right? But I, as the father, was not receiving any kind of, attention for dealing with it. I basically had to, play it by ear. But fast forward to after she gave birth, she was very, still very hormonal, she even had depressed thoughts. I remember sometimes she told me she had these very wicked, evil thoughts toward herself, and even at times, towards our children. And it was very sad. It was very sad. And looking back at it, I wish I could have been more understanding. But like I said, I was not equipped or educated enough on this topic. And I just posted a question on my Facebook as a Facebook status, like, who has went through postpartum depression, who's experienced it, who's dealt with it. And one of my homeboys had shared the post, and he commented that he didn't even know nothing about it until after his kids were born, but all the symptoms were there. So that alone, just his one comment alone, it resonated to this train of thought that I'm on, because I wasn't educated on it before it happened to me. I wasn't really aware, so I'm pretty sure if I'm not I'm not an ignorant person by any means. I don't know everything, you see what I'm saying? But I'm pretty educated, and it to say that something like that went totally over my head, that speaks volumes, because that means there's so many people who aren't aware of this. There's so many people who are dealing with it, and I hope that this video, this video can help someone. If it can help anyone, then I feel like my job has been done. You know what I mean? Each one teach one. Each one teach two, really. But anyway, my homeboy saying that he didn't know nothing about it really spoke volumes, because it kind of answers my question. My question is, do you believe that there's enough awareness and enough solution or care being given to the mothers and the fathers, first time mothers and fathers who are going through that? Do you think there's enough help given to these people? Hell no, there's not enough. And their needs in attempts to heal our culture, we need to be more aware of this postpartum depression shit, this hormone thing that changes women and men, because it affects men as well as the women. There needs to be more awareness, especially for young parents, especially for first-time parents, and there needs to be more care given, more attention needs to be given to that aspect of parenthood, because it's a pivotal part of whether or not that relationship between mother and father can, last. It's in the black community, we speak on things like depression and mental health. we speak on them in a very light tone. Like we mention certain things, and we sweep a lot of things under the rug, and we don't cover them as far as like in a way that we should, in a way that's beneficial to the culture. We don't talk about it in a way that will help us grow as a people. To say that the black church is such a important part of our culture, I don't feel that the black church does enough to keep families together, because like the brother who said that he never heard of it until after his child was born, and he grew up in church just like myself, and there's thousands of single mothers in the church, but you would never hear. I grew up in a Baptist church. I heard the reverend in the church do this 80% of his sermons, and I know that God is able to do what he said he would. Like, the preachers would do that, but there's not enough emphasis put upon educating people on matters like the matter that I'm speaking on right now. Now, no, not to disrespect these preachers, because the black church is a very important part of our culture and is very helpful. But moving forward, there needs to be dialogue about things like this in the church. There needs to be sermons preached about situations like this, because educating our people on something like this is a a very important factor in whether or not we heal our families. You know, knowledge is power. So, you know, there you have it. But got some comments from Nikita. She's saying, a lot of people don't know it's real out here. Yes, and don't have to take medicine. You can see a counselor. Yeah, no doubt. Like, ain't always about, you know, I'm very big on holistic healing, whether it's herbs, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's, you know, I'm anti big pharma. I'm anti, like, I'm pro alkaline diet. I'm pro plant-based diet when it comes to mental health. You feel me? I'm pro herbal supplements when it comes to mental health. I'm pro meditation when it comes to mental health. But being that, as you know, black people who come from middle class and lower class families where there's not a lot of medical insurance involved, where there's not a lot of disposable income involved to have the resources to seek out that certain type of mental health where you can get these counselors and whatnot. And like I said earlier, it's not spoken about in our households, in our churches, in our schools. It comes a point where we have to, that's why I'm making this video right now, because it's things like this that open up the dialogue. It opens up the conversation to potentially help someone, potentially help a lot of people. You know what I mean? So it's imperative that conversations like this are spoken on, and, you know, in conversations around, especially young women, young men, and don't just talk about it on a lower level. Just don't be like, you know, in the hood, niggas be like, boy, when you get that gal big up, she changed. That's about how deep we get into the conversation. We just say, man, that gal, once you get him big up, he gonna change. You know what I mean? That's the extent of our conversation on, you know, pregnancy and postpartum depression. We don't really engage in a conversation about the ebb and flow of the whole linear 9-month period of a woman carrying a child. You feel me? But that's neither here nor there. The most important thing that we can do is talk about it. You know what I mean? Is share our testimonies. You know? Sharing our story, sharing our experience sometimes can save a life. Like, a lot of people may be scared to come on this video and comment what they went through. A lot of people may be scared to do that in fear that they might expose themselves, in fear that they might not express themselves clearly. But holding back your story, your testimony, can be one of the most hurtful things to do, because your story can redefine someone else's story and can prevent them from making the same mistake that you made. And it can also heal you, because you can get it off your chest. So if anybody got an experience that they would like to share about it, don't be my guest, man. I encourage you to look within yourself, and you know, you don't gotta expose yourself or express yourself to the point where you feel like, you know, you showing your hand, but just be a voice, be a light, be a light to someone. Your light may shine light on someone's situation who going through a similar situation right now, and you can help them along their way. Because I wish somebody would have talked to me or talked to my children's mother when we were going through what she was going through and what I was going through also. You feel me? There needs to be more dialogue with our people, especially on topics like this, because like mental health is one thing when you dealing with it on your own, in your own personal, you know, struggles. But when you dealing with it in a relationship and with a child, that's even more important. That's even more powerful. That's a whole life. You feel me? That's a whole family structure that you can help. You could be moving into a higher level. But I ain't about to get too long-winded with this video. I just want to spark the dialogue, get some feedback, share my story a little bit, my experience a little bit, and hopefully people can comment under this live or whatever, and hopefully someone out there can benefit from this. Yeah, peace. I see life around the corner.